Hello and welcome to the WriteCome.com podcast, where we help you to make money from your words. Each episode will be sharing tips, tricks, and strategies you can use to make more money from your writing, publishing, and marketing to your fans and audience. Let's get started with your host, Barry J. McDonald.
Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from WriteCome.com. And today I want to ask you not to be a dick and to say something nice. Now, what do I mean by this episode? Well, the other day I was listening to one of our local radio stations, and the DJ was just talking about her daughter. Now, her daughter is 6, and she's one of these kids who will, when she's out for a walk, she will say hello to everybody, she'll wave at everybody going by. But the mother was just remarking for the amount of people that the child would actually wave or say hello to, about 90% of the people would either look the opposite way, look straight past the child, or just totally ignore and not acknowledge her at all, not even give her a grunt as an acknowledgement. And, you know, if you are a parent, you probably do feel for your kids in those situations, you know, they are being friendly, and, you know, this little bit of friendliness is just kind of being slapped back at them and being totally ignored. Now, there's not too many things will trigger me, but that is one thing that does annoy me, is somebody not acknowledging that you're even there. You know, even when I walk around our own country roads with summer, you will find sometimes from time to time I'll meet somebody coming walking toward me, and I'll give them a nod, or I'll say hello or good morning or whatever, and they will kind of look at you as if you got two heads, or they will look straight through you, or they will look as if you're a ghost and just keep looking straight on ahead and just totally ignore you and walk on by. And I know that says a lot more about them than it does about me, but it does kind of make you wonder, like, we are on this planet that is kind of spinning through space. You know, we don't even know if we are going to have the next 5 minutes of this life, and to kind of take yourself so seriously that you can't even acknowledge some other person, you can't give them a nod or a compliment or something like that, is really, you know, I think it's a little bit sad. Now, I'm not saying we should all kind of sit around the campfire fire holding hands singing Come By, yeah, but I do think it's nice if somebody does something nice or tries to do something, that we should kind of acknowledge them or give them a little bit of compliment or a pat on the back or whatever. I remember years ago I was in multi-level marketing. Yes, I was one of those people who would try and get you into my business, and I'd try to sell you weight loss products. And to tell you the truth, it was probably one of the best kind of learning grounds that I had, and it probably helped me a lot in the business that I am in right now. It was a good kind of place to start off. So I know maybe some people have been burned in MLM and maybe have lost money in it, but you can pick up some things that you can use in life lessons later on, and I do know some of the stuff, you know, that I picked up back then is helping me right now. But anyway, forget about all that. In MLM, there was a magazine we used to get from time to time. It was a monthly magazine, and at the time when the Labour government was in the UK, Tony Blair had come up with this kind of scheme that he kind of recognised MLM as a kind of a home-based business thing, and it was a kind of a way to get people probably earning money from home. So what Labour did at the time was they kind of give they got some kind of, I don't know whether it was a fund or not like a scholarship, but they actually had put some money aside that people, if they wanted to, they could, you know, claim some kind of an allowance or whatever if they were going for MLM training. And I remember years ago there was training that was on in London, and whatever happened, I think the company that was actually putting on the training, they could actually give you the training for free, but all you had to do was you had to claim for your little coupon, or you had to kind of send a letter off to some government agency or whatever, and then they paid for your day out of the training or whatever. So it ended up then a couple of weeks later, then me and my wife Catherine, we ended up flying over to London, and we were met at a local hotel, and there was this kind of convention on. So it wasn't actually, you know, it wasn't actually a company itself. It was more or less an MLM, I'm getting mixed up with this now, an MLM trainer who was somebody who was a big name at the time. I can't even remember his name, to tell you the truth. It's been that long ago. But he took us all into this big hotel room, and over the next couple of hours, he would show us how to kind of present our business, and how to, you know, how to find leads, and how to talk to people, and, you know, all the kind of things that would help us in our business. And we spent the whole day kind of going from one little workshop to another, learning all the little things we could add into our business to make ourselves better. Now, there was one thing that still stands out in my mind, and it was it was being nice to each other. There was this kind of section, I can't remember what way it was titled, but what we did was we gave each other compliments. Now, maybe to explain it a little bit better, what happened was we were broke up into groups, I think it was maybe of 5 or 6 people. Now, we were all complete strangers. We knew nobody at it, and so we found ourselves sitting in this kind of small group of complete strangers, and we were sitting around in a ring in chairs. And what the aim of the game was, or the thing that we had to do, was we had to kind of look at everybody around you, and you had to give each other a compliment. So you would look at maybe somebody beside you and you would say, well, that's a really, really nice suit you've bought. You maybe look at somebody else and say, oh, I like your hair, or, I like the way you did this or that, or your shoes or something like that. But you would simply look around the room and you would give people compliments. Now, the funny thing is, you probably will, at the start, it did feel a little bit fake. It did kind of feel like, I'm just going to say, oh, your shoes are lovely, even though maybe I don't mean it. But as the kind of thing was going on, you did actually start to find good things about the people. You did find maybe that they had a nice smile, or that they were funny, or they came across nice, or seemed friendly, or whatever it was. But you started to find things out about those people, and you started complimenting on it. Now, as it was going on, if we were sitting in a group, say maybe 7 people or whatever, there were 7 complete strangers who were actually giving you a compliment, and then you would have to do the same for yourself. So each of us would have probably got 7 or 8 compliments of these complete strangers. Now, while I probably thought it was a little bit corny at the time, and I probably thought, well, this is going to be kind of one of these big kind of American kind of things, that is all kind of hype, and, it's not going to mean anything to you. I can actually still remember some of the compliments I got from those people back then, and it really, really still stands out in my mind. It's hard to believe. I can't remember how long it's been. It must be, it could be 20 years ago since I went to that seminar, and, I was at that. But still, some of those compliments still stand out in our mind. And as the great Dan Meredith just pointed out the other day, unfortunately, a lot of people don't get complimented as much as they do. I think he'd asked on his Instagram wall, he'd asked how many men, how many times they'd been complimented recently, or how many times they received compliments. And it was like a huge number of people who never ever gets a compliment. It was like something like 80% of people would pass through life, and nobody would ever say, well done on the job that you're doing. I like the shoes, or you like your clothes, or whatever. But they had received no compliments, even from family members. Everybody would just take, what they were doing for granted. And it's sad to think that somebody could pass through life and never ever get complimented for what they do. I remember saying one time before in one of my early blog posts, the difference you can make in an author's life by simply just setting a few moments aside and simply leaving a book review. A lot of authors, will write a book and they will never ever know. Again, they will probably get, the negative criticism. People will slate their book and say, oh, the characters were terrible, the storyline was terrible. But a lot of people will never actually go ahead and leave a positive review from the book. Again, I would put my hand on my heart. I'm probably one of those people too. I probably don't do it often enough. I don't, leave a positive review on someone's book. And sometimes you never know what a compliment can do from people. I know from time to time, even in my early days, I was sometimes on the verge of giving up. I was on the verge of, I wasn't making any progress. I didn't seem to be making any difference in anybody's life. Nobody seemed to be, remarking anything about my products. I didn't even know if they were actually giving them the results they wanted to. And when you're in that kind of bubble, it's very, very easy to just get disheartened and kind of just say, well, what the hell? What is the point of me doing this? Because nobody seems to acknowledge what I'm doing. Now, I am not fishing for compliments. I'm not expecting everybody just to go racing over to iTunes or whatever and start leaving reviews for this podcast. But I just want you to think about maybe the people you are dealing with right now. You never know, a couple of kind words you could make today could make a big difference in some author's life. Somebody maybe has been writing a book this past 6 months or so, or maybe they have put a training course together. And it's nice when somebody kind of reaches out to them and says to them, well done on that. That product of yours, it has made me lose weight, and, whatever it was. I've been struggling for years to lose weight, and because of your book has made a big difference into my life. Or, maybe that blog post you put in today about maybe self-esteem, whatever, has really, really helped me see maybe things in a different way, and I feel better about myself or whatever. But as I said, a lot of us, unfortunately, kind of read that content, maybe view the videos, whatever, and never really take a moment just to kind of pat that person on the back and, for them putting that, at the end of the day, like, they probably took time out of the day to record that piece or write that piece or whatever. So it's nice to kind of give them a little bit of a pat on the back and say, well done and thank you for doing that, So That's what I want you to think about today. Whatever people you are dealing with, again, it could be family members, it could be maybe somebody who you are following, it could be even a mentor. It doesn't even matter how kind of, how much of a kind of a superhero this person seems to be, from where you are, how far or how high up on a pedestal they seem to be. Everybody likes a compliment now and then, just to know that they are, going in the right direction, because we all have doubts. Some days you do get up and you just say to yourself, am I making any difference? Am I wasting my time? Am I on the right path? Is anybody actually reading this stuff, listening to this stuff or whatever? Or maybe I should drop it. And you never know. A couple of kind words from you today could keep an author going for the next couple of years. It could, make a big difference in someone's life. It's not all about money too. A couple of kind words could make a big, big difference in somebody's life. So while I wasn't kind of singling you out personally and saying that you are a complete dick, I just thought, it's nice if we just kind of be nice to each other. I always had a friend of mine who used to say that motto every so often. He used to say, it's nice to be nice. And it is true. It is nice to be nice. So if there is somebody who is making a difference in your life, if somebody is kind of putting themselves out there and is not kind of getting recognition from everybody else, maybe if you just take a few moments and just put a few kind words in the comment box or leave a review or whatever, or just kind of send them a tweet or an email or whatever and say, you know what, I really appreciate what you're doing. You'll never know what the difference it could make in that person's life. It could be the thing that could keep them going, and you never know what it could do for them. They might be down right now. They may be putting on a kind of a great facade saying that they are, doing well and all that, but you don't really know what goes on behind closed doors. So be nice to somebody today. Again, reach out, tweet, email or whatever, or just put a kind review on a blog, or, if you have read any good books recently, maybe on your Kindle device or whatever, simply leave a couple of good book reviews for those people, just to let them know that you've enjoyed their content or whatever, and that they have made a big difference in your life. So, as always, as I said, I am not fishing for, for reviews for this, but if you do want to leave a review for the podcast, if you do want to reach out to me, if you want me to ask any, if you want me to cover anything in a podcast episode, feel free to do that. Just send an email to barryjmcdonald@gmail.com. Or if you want to head over to the Rightcome site, which is WRITECOME.com, you'll find there at the moment we have a great free report, which is called Words to Wealth. And in it, I show people how 10 different ways they can make money from their writing. So if you want to head over there and pick up the report, you're certainly you're more than invited to do so. Or if you want to drop by the Facebook page, you'll find me hanging out there, and you'll find some of my content over there. So if you'd like to reach out to me over there, you feel free to do so also. That's WRITECOME.com. And as always, thanks for sharing your time again today. Take care. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the Rightcome.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.